Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so that potential buyers can learn more about the business and the seller to help them make an informed buying decision. If you would like to learn more about this business, including details like what type of business it is, how much revenue and profit it makes, and all of the assets included with the business, simply visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for this business's listing number, which you can find in the video thumbnail and in the description. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. So without further ado, let's get into this interview. First up, let's learn a little bit about you. Can you tell us about your background in building and running online businesses?
Yeah, so I've been building and running YouTube channels probably for the last 10 years with varying levels of success. And this channel I started beginning to build in late 2022, more with the intention of selling affiliate links for anime merchandising, anime clothing and stuff like that. And the views just got so out of control that it ended up just being kind of so profitable from ads alone that I didn't really feel the need to kind of do any affiliate marketing. And I certainly did some, but I think with short form, it's a lot more difficult. And I think that's an area of growth that long form would be a part of, which I'll talk about later. But yeah, so this business I've been building slowly over the last kind of 4 years and really kind of got my head into it when I freed up some more time, kind of early 2024 when the business started. We got into the ad scheme and we really started pushing that. And then it's just been up and up and up since then.
Why are you selling the business now instead of keeping it and growing it further?
Yeah, so the main reason I'm selling the business, although there are a handful of reasons, is just time. I have a lot of other projects going on as far as other YouTube channels, producing music, a small game development studio that I run. And so my time is full. I've only so many hours in the day. And this is kind of the longest standing business that I have that I'm still a part of that I haven't already sold. For me emotionally, it's just run its course on a personal level. I've been doing it for a very, very long time and I'm ready to really sink my teeth into all these other projects I've got going on. And so I think it's just time to let it go.
Can you describe the amount and the type of work that you do on this business to maintain it?
Yeah. So as far as how much work I do on the business every single day, it varies. And it also really depends how much you want to post on the channel. I try to post 1 to 2 times a day, with each video taking somewhere in the ballpark of kind of 2 to 3 hours each to make. And that's from getting the idea to editing the video, to uploading the video, to SEO, to all of that. It's about 2 to 3 hours. So, that puts you at 4 to 6 hours a day. If you posted twice a day, obviously 2 to 3 hours a day if you only posted once, and obviously everything else in between. The content is not difficult to edit. I think you could hire a semi-decent editor to do it all for you. And if you had them on an 8-hour day, they'd be able to probably make about 3 videos. It would completely wipe out your time. You wouldn't have to do anything on the channel. And you may actually be able to get out more content for probably only a couple $1,000s a month on a hire. As far as maintaining the channel, there's not a lot else to do other than that as far as the way that I run it. You could definitely start doing community posts more. I don't really do it as often as I should, even though I get hundreds and hundreds of thousands of impressions per community post, which if you posted every day, on the community would be millions and tens of millions of impressions a month. So if you're doing affiliate links through that, or you were promoting a brand or something, I think there'd be lots of money there. But yeah, as far as maintaining it, there's not a lot else to do other than just posting the videos.
So if you were to keep this business, what are some of the ways you would try to grow it?
Yeah, so I think there's many, many ways that I would grow this channel if I continued to run it. And like I said, if my time wasn't filled up, I already would have done so. In fact, to the point where I've actually, as far as I understand it, thought of most of the best ways to grow the channel because it was something I planned to do for a while. I think the 2 main routes you need to take is try and make your content as kind of fair use as possible. So I would say move away from the short form clipping and move into some more long form and ultra long form content, because that's where the real money is. That's where YouTube is moving. They want watch time right now, and ultra long form especially is really able to provide that. So there's two ways I would do that. We'll start with the ultra long form as a start. So I think the easiest way to start with some ultra long form content is to get some fan art made. You can use AI of the characters in the show or of things related to the show, maybe scenes in the show, obviously using AI. So it's then, it's now fan art. Get someone on Fiverr to animate that. And what you want to do is kind of make a 3 to 5 hour long lo-fi music playlist, basically, but your own songs. So you'll then go to Suno, or something like Suno anyway, and you'll say, make me an anime styled lo-fi track. You can generate hundreds of them a day, thousands a day, depending on the plan you've got. 3 to 5 hours, put them all, in your editing software. You have this lo-fi music. You have the fan art of the character or the people from the show or things from the show that people are then going to like. And you upload that, like I said, 3 to 5 hours. And, from my own experience of running multiple hour long videos, even, in Q4, RPMs are as high as $50. In Q1 and Q2, you can still see $25, $30 RPMs, which is insane, by the way. I mean, obviously, when you're talking about a channel the size of this one, just getting tens of thousands of views in a long form video is almost a guarantee, I imagine. And I think with the niche that we're in, it's such a small niche in terms of it is really niche down. You almost can't niche down anymore, but it's so large at the same time, and I think a culmination of those two things is just a recipe for making a lot of money. So that's one of the ultra long forms. I think another route you could take with the ultra long forms, I would say slightly higher effort, but potentially a more reliable way, which would be doing kind of what ifs, which are very popular in the anime niche. It would be doing fan theories. And all of this can be done through ChatGPT to get you your scripts, 11 Labs to voice it if you didn't want to do it yourself, and just someone who can edit the clips together. Clips from the show as well as any other visuals you want to pop up on the screen. And once again, that can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours long, kind of the sort of thing you'd want people to go to sleep listening to. And the what ifs and stuff and the fan theories can also be made into just regular long forms if that's the route you'd want to go. But once again, yielding significantly higher RPMs than short form. And ultra long form is just the best RPM kind of value you're getting on any sort of content. And I think through making long form content, like I said, not just would it pull you more into fair use, but I think the options to then have, sponsorships reaching out to you and putting those in your videos or having affiliate deals, is so high. And I think in the anime niche, there are so many different options, right? There are anime games. So, mobile games could be reaching out to you. Obviously you've got the merchandise, the apparel stuff in the anime scene, collectibles, there's anime related like loot crates and snack boxes. Obviously VPN being the biggest one, with someone like NordVPN having like a lifetime like referral deal, and obviously for the anime niche, that's huge because with VPNs, for example, if you want to watch it on a certain dub, and depending on what country you're in, you may have to use a VPN to watch it. So I think there's a huge opportunity there. Obviously, you can have a VPN basically in the pinned comment of every single ultra long form and long form video you have, plus any sponsorships that reach out for individual videos. Obviously, you've also got with anime, language learning sites if people want to learn Japanese or Chinese or Korean or whichever animes they like to watch. So yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is I think the opportunity is not just for the type of long form content you can make, but the type of sponsorships and affiliate deals you can also bring in to pad that revenue is very, very large. And a lot of these ultra long form and long form ideas can also then be kind of cut down and made into short form. So you're still keeping up the short form while now bringing in long form or ultra long form, plus sponsorships, plus affiliate deals. I would also try and post more on the community feed because, like I said, hundreds of thousands, tens of millions of impressions a month. If you were just, for selling merchandise, for pushing people towards websites, for sponsorships, for, when you have such a large kind of viewer base that this channel has in such a niche, there are going to be people who want to advertise and they are willing to pay a lot of money because you are so laser focused on a community that is so hardcore. So if I was to continue growing it, yeah, I would move into ultra long form content. Obviously, the content I'm doing at the moment, to a degree, it is almost free views. And I would say continue doing that if that's something you want to do. But I think if you want this channel to be something that's going to really, really perform and potentially be something that you can almost step away from a daily kind of management basis, I would say moving into that evergreen content, which is, usually ultra long form content, that evergreen content that will forever get views with those higher RPMs. So even if views drop down, there is still a lot of revenue to be made. I think that's the way to go. Yeah. And also, sorry if I've been rambling a bit, but I have really thought about this. And I think the opportunity is massive for growth on this channel. But like I've said, my passion for this anime has kind of dwindled over the last 4 years of doing it. And I just don't have as much time anymore. But yeah, I think for someone who does take this on, I'd be more than happy to kind of assist early doors and kind of give as many ideas as I can kind of roll off, the top of my head. But yeah, that's where I think the future growth of this channel is.
Right. And what would you say are the biggest risks with this business that buyers should be aware of?
I would say there's two kind of, and potentially only two kind of risks with the channel that I would kind of categorize as medium and low risks. I'll start with the low risk, and that is the owner of the IP, the people that own the show. They could come along and decide that they want to copyright claim the videos because technically they do own the IP of the clips that we're using, which is one of the reasons in my growth strategy, I think you should move away from this content and towards a significantly more kind of fair use content strategy. I don't think this is likely to happen. That's why I have it in low risk. I've been making videos on this channel for 4 years. I'm good friends with many, many other people in not just my anime space, but all of the other animes, hundreds of thousands to millions of subscribers. And no one that I've spoken to has had any problems from the parent companies of the shows that they make videos on, copyright claiming or, God forbid, copyright striking videos. Everyone is clean in short form because at the end of the day, it's free promotion for these shows. Although, we are editing the clips down, people see those clips and they do want to go and watch the show. And so it ends up being a net positive. But I can't make any promises that these kind of the owners of the IPs won't change their mind on that sort of thing and start copyright claiming videos. But like I said, over the last 4 years, they've had no problems whatsoever. No one that I know has had any problems, and I don't see that changing in the future. But it is something to keep in mind if you were going to continue posting the exact same content, which I think for future growth actually isn't the best option anyway. The medium risk is a similar kind of thing, but in terms of YouTube, and it goes more with their fair use policy. Now, I don't know the last time the fair use policy has changed, and at least in the last kind of 2 years that I've been monetized on YouTube, the policies haven't changed. But that's not something, once again, that I can promise or guarantee. If YouTube randomly decides they want to start cracking down on what they class as fair use, or they want to change their fair use policies, that is something that could happen. Once again, I think it's very unlikely. I've been monetized for 1.5 years. I know people that have been monetized for closer to 2.5. And no one has had any problems with the monetization system as far as I'm aware. But once again, it's not something that I can promise. And I think that it is definitely a possibility. And I think it's probably more of a risk than the IP owners doing anything because they have significantly more to gain from us doing this. But this is one of the reasons, once again, that in my growth strategy, I say keep up this content initially for the financial purposes, but try and move into that more kind of significantly more what I would call the definite fair use area where that you can't even dispute it. It just is. It doesn't matter if policies change, it will be fair use. And I think that's the best growth strategy for this channel. But the likelihood of either of these two risks kind of coming to pass, I think, is low. Like I said, I've been doing it for 1.5 years with no issues. I know people that have been doing it for 2.5 years with also no issues. So I don't see it changing, but once again, it is something to keep in mind.
How much support are you willing to offer the buyer who acquires this business?
I'm happy to offer support for at least the first kind of month or two in that transition stage where they are kind of just getting to grips with the content, how kind of the flow of it works, and also, working on those growth strategies. So yeah, for the first kind of, 45 to 60 days, I'm more than happy to answer any questions that the buyer would have. And then if they wanted to jump on a call, and obviously we're not talking every single day, I'm not going to be managing the day-to-day of the channel, but I'm more than happy to kind of empty my brain of all the ideas I've kind of been working on over the last 3 or 4 months as part of the growth strategy I had for this channel, then yeah, I'm more than happy to kind of point them in the direction of, I would use this software to make the AI visuals and this software to make the AI music, and this is how I would do it, and this is the kind of titles and thumbnails I would use, and here are some competitors. So yeah, I think I'm more than happy to support someone because, like I said, this channel to a degree is like my baby, right? I've been building it over the last 3.5 years. It's a show that I am very passionate about, and it's the biggest channel in the space. And I only want to see the channel grow, and I want to see what my vision of what I thought the future of the channel would be come to pass. That'd be amazing. And, so yeah, like I said, I'm more than happy to support for the first kind of month or two while they sink their teeth into it. And then after that, obviously, like I said, I've got a lot on my plate and my time needs to be focused there.
Are you open to negotiating something like an earn-out agreement?
No, I'm looking for a straight buyout of the channel. Once it's sold and I've kind of done that pass on phase, like I said, that 45 to 60 day kind of transition phase of helping them build the channel, I want to kind of step away from it. It's been such a huge part of my life over the last 3.5 years that I feel like if there was an earn-out payment structure, I would be checking the channel every day. I'd be trying to, get involved and help out when really I need to step back and work on my other projects. And we've priced it fairly competitively anyway at 24x. I don't think there's need for an earn-out payment structure. I think if you took over the channel and went through the growth strategy and really worked hard to build it, maybe brought some people on board to help you build it, I think you would make your return within, 18 months. No earn-out payment structure, just a straight payout.
Okay, final question. If you had to put yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why is your business a business worth buying?
I think there's a few reasons, and I think it depends who you are. I think there's a couple of different people who I think would buy a channel like this. And I think you've got, one person who maybe you own an anime merchandise company, or maybe you're starting an anime merchandise company, or, something in the space where you're basically going to use the channel as a tool to promote your business or to promote your products in these kinds of niches. I think for that person, it's actually a no-brainer. I wouldn't even hesitate if I was in that position. I think to get your hands on a channel that's so niche down with this much reach, right? We're talking hundreds of millions of impressions a year, potentially billions of impressions a year just from views, on top of the tens and tens of millions of impressions from the community tab, plus the untapped potential in the long and ultra long form. If you own a business that sells or promotes any type of products that are in this space, I think it's basically free sales because you've built a community of people who not just trust the channel, but love the content. So I think if you're in that position, it's a no-brainer. I think if you're someone who's just looking to scale a YouTube channel, I also think it's a great opportunity because I think right now, I'm the biggest channel in the space. I think the long form and ultra long form in this niche specifically is actually untapped. So I think just from the perspective of kind of jumping in the deep end, but also at the start of a new endeavor, I think is a really exciting place to be. And that's another reason why I think it's worth buying. You're jumping in with a steady stream of revenue, but a brand new opportunity to kind of bloom a new flower out of this channel, this company, this business, and build something new and potentially bigger than everything you built before. So you're not jumping into something that's kind of static and there's nowhere to move, right? You're jumping into a business that has steady revenue and many, many avenues to grow. And it's almost up to you to pick and choose where to move your pieces on the chessboard, right? So I think, no matter who you are, if you like the space, you're interested in the space, I think it's a no-brainer. And I think if I was in the position of somebody who wanted to bring on something that was going to bring consistent revenue and had some fun, interesting opportunities to scale that, potentially, I could see a world in where 10, 15x's, just based on what I've seen from ultra long form channels that I know with, I've seen ultra long form channels with 100,000 subscribers making $50,000 a month, posting every few days on their channel. So to already have this many subscribers and this big of a viewer base in such a niche community, I don't see why, if scaled properly, this couldn't be in the next 2 years, 50, 60, 70,000 a month business. And so for that reason, I think anyone that is even considering it, I think it's a no-brainer.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this business is still for sale, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for this business listing number, which you can find in the video thumbnail and description. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll find everything you need to know about this business. So, thanks for joining us. See you next time.